Now let's dive deep into this big LGBTQ plus story for today. I'm Faye Watt, and let's queer up the USA view. Let's Make Gay Marriage Illegal Again has actions moving for Supreme Court decision. A Michigan lawmaker is pushing to overturn marriage equality. Republican Representative Josh Schriver announced plans to introduce a resolution urging the U.S. Supreme Court to reverse its 2015 ruling in Obergefell versus Hodges, which granted same-sex couples the right to marry. Schriver claims the decision conflicts with the sanctity of marriage and the Michigan Constitution. The resolution is non-binding and unlikely to pass in the Democrat-controlled Senate or be signed by Governor Gretchen Whitmer. However, it aligns with past calls from conservative justices to revisit rights related to marriage and private life. Schriver has a history of anti-LGBTQ rhetoric. He has previously stated that the U.S. should, quote, make gay marriage illegal again, end quote. His resolution follows similar efforts in other Republican-led states, including Idaho. Advocates warn these actions signal broader threats to LGBTQ plus rights. Legal scholars suggest that a larger game plan to return a gay marriage appeal to the Supreme Court is now in full pursuit by the GOP. Queer News Tonight extensively covered the Supreme Court Roe decision by reversing its long-held abortion decision of constitutional privacy rights. Justices Thomas and Alito suggested that this same review should occur on the court's 2015 gay marriage decision. It would appear these types of challenges are to get the settled constitutional law on gay marriage back before the Supreme Court. Queer News Tonight has reached out to the log cabin Republicans and leaders of Gays for Trump for a comment. They have repeatedly said that the current administration would never try to reverse gay marriage. As of this broadcast, we have not had a reply from either conservative LGBTQ organization. Meanwhile, Schriver faces backlash over a racist online post, losing staff and his committee seat. His efforts to challenge queer rights come as public support for marriage equality reaches 69% nationwide. You know, Project 2025 is real, right? They told us what they were doing. They had a whole manifesto telling us, right? Oh, they're not going to come after your marriage. All those people that keep on telling us that, right?
Yep.
I hate those people who keep telling us that, okay? So yes, you know, they were just testing the waters on this, all right? This is not going to pass, but they're putting their feet in, okay? My favorite part about this whole entire thing was when Michigan's openly gay senator stared him down, right, and said that the resolution wouldn't make it out of the make it out of the committee. Okay, Jeremy Moss, thank you for your words. Thank you for doing that. You know, these folks don't see us as equal, guys. They don't, and they're gonna come after our marriage. This is just further proof that everything written in Project 2025, they are making sure that it comes and happens. You know, they don't want us married because they don't even think of us as equal. So why give us equal rights if they look at us that way?
Well, Trump even evaded the question many times when he was asked. That right there was like a sure tell sign.
He knew nothing about 2025 when he was asked.
Of course he didn't know anything about 2025. But it's crazy that that was 10 years ago when, you know, same-sex marriage became legal and equality finally prevailed. And it's only 10 years later that this is happening. I don't want to be Debbie Downer, but it looks like it is going to push forward, you know, like everything else is pushing forward.
Yeah.
And we have to be realistic about what's ahead so we know how to deal with everything.
Yeah, just these crazies just need other people to support their crazy, and that's it. You know, when Schriver first announced this, they started out with 12 GOP co-sponsors, okay? After all the rhetoric, after people screaming and yelling, now they only have 6. Okay, so yeah, there's a high possibility this is not going to get any further, but the next person will just rewrite it differently so it gets further.
And they'll set it in a state where it can pass, and
Exactly.
then that'll be
Like
used
Texas.
as precedent, right? Move
Or here.
Right, for
honestly.
us and then to the Supreme Court that would have to make a decision. And we already know that it's all filled with conservatives that are not in favor of LGBT rights, no more than they favor their women's rights.
Yeah.
And the first thing they did was take away your ability for an abortion. And now they're working on ways to make it harder for women to vote and making it harder for trans people to travel. Just came back from Portugal, and one of my friends is coming. He's got 2 people coming over. One is gay, and he's engaged to a trans woman. And they had put in for their visas so that the identity on it would show who she is, not what it says at birth. And they got the visa like 3 days ago. and it had changed it back to her birth.
Oh my
And so now she's
God.
traveling in like 2 weeks, and her visa doesn't match what her picture shows.
So of course she's not going to be
Right.
able to be allowed to
And
travel, basically.
they're going to go back and yeah, like this stuff is, they said they do it in the book, like you said. Project 2025 is real, and they're going through that book, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know how far into it is, but they're pretty far in of all the things they're doing.
I know at least 5 couples that have gotten married in the last month.
Yeah.
5 couples, 5 LGBTQ plus couples, and I don't blame them.
I will be celebrating my 3rd year wedding anniversary on March 11th with my incredible, beautiful husband, Julio.
Who's Cuban?
I love you. Who is Cuban? That's my Cuban. What really pisses me off about a story like this are all the people that came to our wedding, celebrated us, drank our alcohol, and ate our food, and then turned around and voted for the conservative side. This is the conservative side that is rooting to end the legality, the legitimacy of my marriage, of all the queer marriages out there. So I low-key want to say, how dare you show up to my wedding, say you are so happy for us, celebrate us, love on us, contribute towards us, and then actively vote against us. It is the that's not really going to happen crowd. Yeah. They're not really going to do this crowd.
You're overreacting.
Oh, you're overreacting crowd. That's not true crowd. What are you getting this from crowd? Right. That crowd can eat my entire ass because you are actively voting against the longevity of me being with the person that God actively created for me to live the rest of my life with. How dare you look us in the face and be like, ain't nothing gonna happen, and they're actively doing it against us. Stop with the foolishness. And if you are truly so against gay marriage, do not go to a gay wedding. Keep your ass at home. I really was upset with the family members and the friends and the acquaintances that decided not to come to my wedding because it was 2 men. But low key, at least you was speaking on your truth. Mm-hmm. I'm still not happy with you, but at least you were honest with how you felt. You weren't
fake.
You weren't fake. You weren't sharing dishes with us and then turning around and then being like, I don't really want this to happen. So truly, to that side of the fence, how fucking dare you?
Right. And at the same time, your husband's family, because it's the only thing I can focus on right now, just because they're Latino, have a chance of being thrown out of the country, whether they're legally here or not legally here, because they're just gathering up people, and that's again going back to that's the first group. So now you've moved them all out of the country. You say they're not the kind of people we want. We want people from Sweden.
We want white people, white cisgendered men. Right. That's what they want.
So everyone's at risk, and it's that. They come after you and you say nothing, and then they come after your neighbor and you say nothing, and then who's left you? And so unless you're suddenly overnight going to wake up white,
And what about the Constitution? The unconstitutionality of it all. It's all being ignored. What about our Equal Protection Clause, where same-sex marriage or marriage period, it shouldn't even be called same-sex marriage.
Right.
Marriage period. It should be a fundamental liberty for every person in this country.
Yeah.
And it's not.
Well,
and that's what's pissing me.
And what do these asswacks start saying? They'll be like, oh, if we let them marry, then, you can go marry your horse or something. You know what I mean? Like the comparisons are just so freaking crazy. But that's what they think of us.
Right.
They really think of us subhuman.
That has nothing to do with us. Also, if you want to go marry your horse, I don't give a shit. That ain't got shit to do with me. I'm out of my fucking business. Go fuck the horse. I don't give a goddamn.
And for the
leave my marriage alone.
Fucking a horse, I don't really care because there's so many billions of us that aren't fucking a horse.
Hello.
So even with the transgender, how many people are actually going through that process that you have to put so much time and energy and money and create something, a group to hate? When that group, chances are most of America's never going to see anyone who's transgender.
No.
Because they're not going to be in Kansas City. You know what I mean? It's just crazy that again, going back to what I said before, it's that people aren't up in arms because you're seeing it hit every group. If you're in the military, you're being attacked. If you're a woman, you're being blamed for a crash in Washington, D.C. with the helicopter and the commuter jet.
Yeah, DEI did that.
DEI did that. And that goes back to all of us.
Yeah.
Well, the rhetoric is real and America's eating it up. But I have to think, though, there are a lot of people who are for us. I walk in all sorts of spaces in life. With all these changes, I've tailored where I walk now because I value my life. But I have to think there are a lot of good people who do care. And what we're hearing is the rhetoric of this percentage of people.
Yeah.
And not all Republicans feel that way, and not all Republicans are pro-Trump. So
But did they vote for him because he was a Republican? That's
more than likely, yes.
so they voted against us.
Yeah.
Because
I
it's out
agree.
there.
Well, I mean, like according to the story, marriage equality support was up to 69%. You know, it's hard to feel that percentage point when we're going through all that we're going through down here in South Florida. That's it. But we got to keep on screaming. That is a big LGBTQ story for today. There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ plus stories by subscribing and sharing Queer News Tonight.